welcome back to a midweek edition of Interjections. Stop if you've heard this one before. Inter victorious in the Champions League. Inter keep a clean sheet in the Champions League. The train just keeps rolling. 1-0 win over Leipzig. We're here to talk about it. I'm your host, Andrew. Jay and Mikko with me. Jay, what's up?
That was probably the most boring game of the year, I think, or the season. But ultimately, we can't complain too much. As you said, another win, another clean sheet in the Champions League. We are currently sitting top, if I'm not mistaken, of the Champions League ladder. Not that really counts for anything, but it's nice to see, Inter being in that position where you normally see the likes of Bayern Munich, 15 points from the group stage, like I was talking about last week. That's a sign of a big team, regardless of how shit the games might be. So ultimately, I'll take it.
Yeah, I completely agree. Hey, we'll talk about the lack of action during the course of the match, but the important thing is you get the results. I mean, you pretty much guarantee yourself a spot in the next round. Mikko, how are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. And yeah, I enjoyed the match a little more than Jay, but yeah, it wasn't like super impressive, but happy to talk about it anyway.
Yeah, let's get into it. I thought we came out and we looked really good for the first, 20, 25 minutes or so. We were pressing high up the pitch. We were forcing them to turn the ball over. We were creating chances. We kept winning corners. We kept winning free kicks. And even though there weren't a ton of goal scoring chances necessarily, like we had the ball in dangerous areas of the pitch and you felt good about the way the match was heading. So when we were able to score off the DeMarco free kick own goal, you're feeling pretty good. And for, the next 10 minutes or so, it really felt like a second was coming and that this was going to be a good match where we can maybe pedal to the middle, drive up our goal differential for Champions League purposes and get the job done. And then I don't really know what happened, but we kind of shut down after halftime. Immediately after the half, Dumfries had the huge chance, which he missed. But really, we didn't create a ton the rest of the match. There was actually a good window towards the middle to end of the second half where Leipzig had more possession than us. They were creating more chances than us. We really powered down and focused on protecting the 1-0. So overall, it's a positive performance because once again, you keep a clean sheet, you get a good result, and you look good for the majority of the match, especially when you're able to, once again, rotate some players appropriately. No one should be too burnt out ahead of Fiorentina, minus the injury concerns. So mostly positives, but maybe a little troubling. The Leipzig had some genuine chances in the second half. Sommer had to make a couple of fantastic saves in order just to keep us ahead. So I don't know. It's not a match you want to rave about. After you go and you beat you beat Verona 5-0, anything after this is going to be a letdown. But I'd summarize it as job well done and on to the next one. Jay, what were your thoughts on the match, especially the first half when we were creating chances? What did you like? What did you see that was working?
Honestly, nothing. Even when we were in the ascendancy, especially in the first half, and we started pretty, I don't even want to say strong, but we started off at a fast pace. I don't think our quality of play was there to back up the pace that we started at. So you could see it right from the get-go. Within the first couple of minutes, you had a chance where DiMarco played Bastoni down the left, and Bastoni's touch was slightly too hard. And the ball went out too far in front of him, and that cut off his angle to put in a good cross. So his cross was too close to the keeper. Likewise, he had a moment where I think whether it was Barella or Dumfries down the right, something similar happened, and just minor things, but small things that make the difference between being able to get a good ball off into the box or having to essentially close down an opportunity because the window has gone or like the angle for the pass is gone. The run, is the midfielder didn't see the run until too late, whatever it might be. And I felt the first half was full of moments like that where we were at 25% away from making something. So for all effects and purposes, we were there. We were playing correctly, for lack of a better description, but our chances were like, 60%, 70% chances as opposed to like being high quality 90% or even 80% type chances. Just, I know it's a kind of horrendous way of explaining things, but you know what I mean. The threat of the chances was always very minimal, very light. It felt like we were kind of just dipping our toes in and testing the waters without ever really committing to it. I don't think that changed for the entirety of the game. If anything, it just got even worse, right? And look, the fact that we kind of got given a goal fortuitously, and so look, if regardless of how your team scores, if you score, the game changes and the mission changes, the way you play changes. But still, you'd like to see a bit more enterprise from the guys to find a second goal to kill it off, because we had to suffer a little bit. Sommer had to make one nice save down to his left, and it was a little bit tense at the end, right? In a game where, again, it probably shouldn't have been if we were a little bit sharper, if we had gotten some more balls correct, if we had taken a chance a little bit better, then we could have put it to bed and put this one in the books a lot more easily. So to wrap back around, again, it's hard to complain about the Champions League win and another clean sheet, but that's why you guys pay me the big bucks to find things to complain about where there is none. And so I've got to be honest, there was not much to really like about that game.
I want to comment on that. At least I liked the way we played in the first half. I think we completely shut down Leipzig. They couldn't attack too much. Even though they were, like Andrew mentioned, there was this period. I don't know, was it maybe before the goal? There was this period they had more possession and actually the
That
stats
was in the second half I was referencing.
Okay. But there were some kind of a possession period at some point in the first half, but then we scored. Then we scored the goal. But the point is that they couldn't do anything in the first half, and we were running it pretty well. But as Jay mentioned, there was always lacking something, and good that we get the goal. I think it was kind of deserved that we got the goal, but it wasn't like we were totally pounding them to the ground and goalie making miracle saves or anything like that. It was just missing the final thing to even get a proper chance.
It was just Arsenal shit. We were just putting crosses into the box, and then one of them kind of got lucky and ended up in the net.
Yeah.
I was fine with that though. It's like we were turning the screw. I felt like we were in their half. Had a ton of corners. Like we weren't creating great shots on goal, I admit, but like the pitch was tilted our way, and I felt like we were eventually going to score during the first 30 minutes of the game.
Yeah, that's what I felt as well. That's why I said that it was kind of deserved the goal, because we kept going and tried to make the plays. I see the Arsenal point, but I think it was a bit different because we were able to really play the ball in their box, and even though we cross a lot, but still I think it's a bit different still how we play compared to how Arsenal played against us. But for the second half, that was a bit of a letdown in terms of we kind of, well, not dropped the ball, but kind of, maybe it was lack of energy or something. We just stopped playing in a way we played in the first half. Maybe that's totally normal. Like that's what happens. You can keep up the tempo for the 90 minutes, but we kind of, I think it felt that we gave Leipzig too much space and the possession to them. I wouldn't say Leipzig forced us or anything like that. I think it was more about Inter than Leipzig, how they managed to have more possession and maybe create something. They didn't create it in the second half either. I think they had like one shot on goal, which was the dangerous one, which Sommer made a great save. But I think it was, I'm gonna check. So yeah, they had one shot on target in the whole match.
Which is probably more dangerous than each as we put together, though. Isn't that
Uh,
a concern?
I don't know. Yeah, but
Well, I'd say the Dumfries chance if he didn't completely sky it over the net.
yeah, I think that was well played attack. It was a it was a funny attack. Uh, if you guys remember how it started when Dumfries did like a nutmeg on two guys in a row, and then Barella picked up the ball and passed to Lautaro, who passed it to Dumfries, and then he fumbles the ball somewhere. Somehow so typical of Dumfries. Dumfries, but yeah, that was a good chance, and I would say that Thuram's chance was pretty good as well. The header when Dimarco lobbed the ball on the back of the far post, and
I
Thuram.
don't think there was ever a chance that's going in the nets. Like Demarco had the better chance than Taram did, in my opinion. But I get your point.
I don't know. I think it was a good one. If he, yeah, maybe it was the case that it wasn't possible to push the ball down, or I don't know. But to me, it looked a really good chance. But I don't know. Yeah, but there wasn't too much happening in the. Well, of course, the Mkhitaryan goal, which was like called off. I don't
Was
know.
it a
Was there
foul?
some
I
fault?
thought that looked a little bit weak. I thought I disagree that that was a foul. To be honest, I think it could have been given as a goal.
Yeah, I kind of understand why the ref called it off, because there was this small touch, like foot on foot. So maybe that was the argument. But yeah, I wouldn't have been surprised if it was given. Like it was pretty small, but it is what it is. It's hard to put some clear opinion over other, because it's always the interpretation, just like the Dumfries penalty against Napoli and so on.
The only league I ever see stuff like this allowed is England, where they let a more physical style of play exist. Like in Italy, if you ever make contact like that, I feel like they call it every time. Like it's always favors the defender.
What do you guys thought about the penalty or the non-penalty call on Dumfries in the first half?
I thought it was fine, to be honest. I think Dumfries made an idiotic choice to try and cut in back, like behind the defender who had already had the advantageous position. I feel like Dumfries should have just tried to beat him down the line or to just cross it first time. Instead, he went for this. Like I said, he kind of cut back in. It's what you get for making the wrong decision, is the way I look at it.
Yeah, I thought as well that it wasn't maybe the best decision to cut it like that, but I felt that he actually got himself in front of Lukebar, who was the guy. Then Lukebar just brought him down. Of course, they were both like using hands a lot in that play, but to me it looked like could have been a foul. But ref called it for a foul by Dumfries, which was, I think that was a bit of a surprise, because I don't think there was any more fouling by Dumfries than Lukeba. But yeah, luckily
Well,
it didn't like affect the end result.
there are a couple like concern points I want to talk about from the match yesterday. So the first is Pavar. First off, Pavar did not look good yesterday. Well, Pundo was giving our defense all sorts of trouble. He honestly might have a man of the match shouts, even though he was on the losing side. Like I thought he was by far the most dangerous player on the pitch. So he gets Pavar booked early, and then Pavar was destined to be subbed off at that point, but it became moot when he leaves with an injury. And it sounds like his injury is more serious than a Cherby's injury, which he picked up over the weekend. So I don't really like. I'm not concerned about Pavar's performances. Like I think he's been still pretty good this year. Maybe not as good as last season, but I think that's pretty much a summary of all our defenders. Good, but not as good as last year. But what do you guys think about our current defense injuries? The need to sign a player in January. There's some reports over the weekend after we finish recording that Morata is interested in signing a defender in January. And I'm not optimistic or even hopeful that it's going to happen. But Pavar picks up a knock. It sounds like it might be serious. I just think the stress is that we really need to sign a center back sooner than later. And if they're going to make us wait until summer, fine. But this is imperative. This is the most needed position in our squad right now, in my opinion.
Well, we did sign a defender. The problem is we just don't fucking use him.
Well, we technically signed a defender. We signed a Serie B level defender.
How old is this kid, Palacios?
Like 21.
Fucking Leipzig were throwing on 17-year-olds yesterday. Just playing. How bad can he be? Seriously, like, I'm sick of us being so defensive with our launching of younger players,
Without going on too much of a rant here, like the Verona game is the prime example, and I talked about this over the weekend. Like you're up 5-0 in a match, find a random 17-year-old like this bum Primavera youth player and give him minutes. Let him try the first team instead of trying to please Arnautovic. Anyway, sorry, Jake, continue.
You're completely right, except for the fact that we don't even have Primavera players on the bench to fill that role by and large. And I feel like, again, more teams do this than don't, at the big stage. Every team, even like the hyper-rich teams, still have some degree of homegrown talent where they're trying to slowly ease into the first team, whereas, we just seem like it's not a thing for us. And I also will avoid going down this big rabbit hole, but it's times like this where, it can help. It can help to have the odd Primavera talent here and there. I would want to see Palacios, to be honest, again, not because I expect anything from him. I just think it's a sensible thing to do. You made a €7 million investment on this supposedly talented 21-year-old who's already been playing at first division football in Argentina. Just play him, seriously. At least give him like the odd 20 minutes here, 30 minutes there. I don't think we're going to sign anyone, and given the financial situation, given the operational kind of restrictions that Oak Tree is going to put on us, just fucking play Palacios for like I said, give him 20 minutes, give him 30 minutes here. Next thing you know, Cherby will be back and everything will be back to normal. So let me just say this though. I was also a bit disappointed in Pavard last night, mainly because he only really did one thing wrong, and that was that moment where he picked up the yellow card after having to do a professional foul on Openda. And that was obviously like quite a big mistake to make for a player of his experience. And again, maybe this speaks to the level that he's been playing at this season, but I didn't feel much of a loss when Pavard had to come out due to injury. It wasn't like, shit, Pavard's injured and he might be gone for a couple of weeks. It's, nice, we've got Bissek on. I was excited to see Bissek. So, like I said, that's both a testament to the way Bissek's been playing recently, and also, I guess, a little bit of an indictment on Pavard's general weak form this season.
Yeah, I would say I'm not either like super concerned with the defense yet, but I kind of see the signs there that if some like Acerbi keeps getting injured, like he was injured against Roma right after international break, and then now the same thing against Verona. So it was like maybe a month ago or something when it happened last time, and now again.
And he's 37 years old, and you figure there's a chance that these injuries do not slow down.
Yeah, and it's not even Christmas yet, so I kind of see it might become a problem. And if now Pavard will be out for some time, well, we don't know that yet about that, but yeah, there's suddenly not too many rotation options when if we have like two starting defenders out, even though the replacements are like good enough, but still, if there's no one on the bench to back up, it might be a bit of an issue. But let's hope it's nothing serious since Bissek, I guess he can play on the middle. Palacios can't play. Maybe Bastoni can, but I can see him playing on the middle in this squad. I feel like we need some proper like physical guy on the middle, and I think Bastoni can't do that. He should be the one running up and down.
Bastoni has played in the middle a couple of times, so at least he's got a little bit of experience, even though it's not the best use of his ability.
Yeah, and I feel he isn't that good compared to like a Cherby or even De Vrij in that position. But I guess that's more that could be more connected to who who's he playing against, or like if he's like someone stronger there, I feel that he might be losing those battles. But yeah,
Sure.
maybe that's this just like a speculation
Yeah,
anyway.
I mean, playing Bastoni in the central sucks because you're downgrading two spots. You're losing who truly is the best left center back in the world when it comes to going down the left flank, creating attacking chances, being a goal scoring threat. And then you're putting a guy who's just. Bastoni is not a bad defender. I'm not trying to say this, but he's not nearly as gifted as a Cherby in like one-on-one man marking of like that rugged, tough physical style you want to see against the center forward. So I view this a lot like when I watch Italy games and Bastoni plays in the center with Calafiori as left center back. It's just not an optimal use of his position. He's capable of it, but I'd much rather sign someone and an investment for the future, knowing De Vrij is likely leaving. Also, shout out to De Vrij, who was excellent yesterday and by far our best defender, I thought.
Yeah, he played really well yesterday. And speaking of playing well, what do you guys thought about our midfield in general?
Zielinski won man of the match, but that was more for like a consistent level of neat ball retention throughout the 90 minutes rather than anything, particularly special. But that's the kind of game it was. That was enough to win him man of the match because no one did anything of note, really. I thought Barella was a little bit quiet.
And don't forget to shout out Hakan for blasting another free kick into the wall.
Yeah, and then Hakan was okay as well, but an understated game. I'm glad he didn't have to play a full 90 given his recent return from injury. I mean, the midfield is fine, honestly. For me, the biggest area of concern is obviously the forwards. Taremi is.
A corpse is how I would describe Taremi. I wanted to bring this up, and I'm glad you are because I'm extremely concerned about him at this point. But go on.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, he started off life at Inter fairly well. Didn't he score a lot of goals in preseason? And then he didn't play for a bit. And, for me, the most notable thing about him was despite his age, he's pretty zippy. He runs hard. He closes down, tracks back, defends quite well. And like I was saying, that all kind of came to a culminated in that really excellent performance against Red Star, where his pressing was like basically like the winning factor because he won the ball back single handedly and created chances that led to us scoring goals. But since then, he just hasn't done anything. He's like, and the most concerning thing is his general lack of ability to influence games. He's not even getting shots off. He's not, never mind scoring. He's just not even getting in the position where he might potentially score. And as far as I'm concerned, the less said about Lautaro, the better. I'm telling you right now, Retegi is a better player and will be a better player moving forward. If we sell Lautaro, Retegi's the guy we should buy.
I'm going to pass on commenting on that ridiculous statement and instead focus on Taremi. I'm worried about this guy. When Taremi was available and we were talking about signing him and Milan were close to signing him, the idea was, okay, this guy's a goal scoring machine. Like in his penultimate year in Portugal, he scored 31 goals in 33 games or something, or he scored like 22 goals in 33 games. It was a great goal scoring record. And you're like, okay, this guy's a pure like number 9. He's what you need off the bench. And then he's in the last year of his contract. Last year, it's running down, and they don't play him as much. He never finds his groove, and his goals fall off a cliff. He went from 22 goals to 6 goals. His expected goals were way down. Like every metric tells you, he struggled last year. And this is a player on the wrong side of 30 who's now 32 years old. So you figure he's already past his physical peak. There's probably not much room for improvements. So he comes to Inter and you sign him, and at first you're like, okay, this looks good because the alternative was Alexis, who had no legs anymore and could not run, and Arnautovic, who's a spaz. So the first few games of Taremi, you're like, okay, this guy's positioning is really solid. This guy knows what to do with the ball. But he just does not get into goal scoring opportunities. Like, I'm telling you guys, he's had like 3 shots on target this year at most. He just doesn't end up in the box in goal scoring chances. It's like everything he does outside the box is completely adequate and fine and capable. But the minute he's in the box, he is not a goal scorer. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend I've watched him play in the Portuguese league. But when you see these goal scoring metrics and you see what the lack of scoring he's offering up now, it's like we've got a problem here. This guy is signed on high wages through 3 more seasons. And are we ever going to get a return on this investment on an aging player? Mikko, I'm guessing you're going to be less concerned about this. So I implore you, tell me why Taremi still has a chance.
Well, I was about to comment the same thing that I'm seeing the same issue that he's simply not getting the chances. He can't even he can't get shots on target or even off target too often. That's so I kind of share the same concern with you guys that he needs to have more impact on the box when we need the goals or even get a touch on the ball like to impact the game when it's closer to the goal. Well, like you said, he's doing a fine job outside the box when he maybe comes a bit lower to get the ball and then spread it forward or whatever. But the issue is like you said, he can't get shots. He can't even get to the chances. He got this one shot yesterday, which was like a poor touch to the ball, so it was just bouncing and it was not a proper shot. But that was about it. Okay, maybe there was this other header when he should have let the ball go to DiMarco and he headed the ball way over the bar. But I don't remember any other case when he tried to get the ball to the net. And yeah, he hasn't been playing in Serie A too much, only some minutes at the end of the games, but I believe he started like every Champions League match, if I'm correct. So he has had like plenty of minutes in the Champions League. And even though some of those games have been a bit rough ones, like City, Arsenal, even the young boys, where the whole team wasn't like playing too well, but still his impact is too limited when it comes to the pure like the offensive part of the game. Yeah, I don't think I'm not seeing like huge problems with his contract. I believe it's like 2 plus 1 year or something like that. But I'm not completely sure how's the contract status. If it's 3 years, that might be an issue. Maybe we buy him out after 2 years or something. if it like continues like this, because we can't keep doing this, that we have like these bench forwards who are like simply not scoring goals. It's not gonna work in a long term.
We also have a starting forward who is not scoring any goals.
And who is that?
Mr. Lautaro Martinez.
I believe he has scored few goals this season, so I wouldn't call no goals.
Come on, Mikko, it's not defensible. This guy is. I mean, we were all extremely optimistic right up until about the 60% or halfway point of last season, saying that this guy has finally grown up, finally turned a new chapter, finally reached his potential after years and years of inconsistency and frustration, and he's just right back at it and as unreliable as ever. He needs to be the most reliable guy on the team. He's paid the most. He's a club captain. He's been here the longest. He's the first name on the team sheet. He should be your most reliable asset. In fact, and he's so far from that. It's the discrepancy is too big.
So the last 5 Serie A games he has played, he didn't play the Verona. So the last 5 games he played, he has scored 3 goals. But okay, maybe that's not enough. But that's the numbers so far. So
I'm not looking at the last 5 Serie A games. I'm looking at this season to date. He's quite clearly been off the canter, and we spoke about this at the start of the season, that he didn't get much of a preseason, that he didn't get much rest, and that's 100% true. But we're now in the last week of November. The season's been going on for 4 or 5 months or something. We're already 40% of the way through the season. So how long can we use this? he didn't get much of a rest. How long are we going to use this excuse, or when are we going to say, there's not much time left in the season for him to actually to pick up? He needs to start picking up.
Yeah, of course he needs to play better, but it's just lies to tell that he isn't scoring. He is scoring, but he's not playing as well
He's
as he
scoring at a
maybe
low
should.
clip. The problem is this guy is paid so much money. He is a huge like resource allocation for us in terms of where we direct our money in the squad. He's your captain. You need a player on his wages of his pedigree needs to be a linchpin of attack, or who are not celebrating the fact he has 5 goals in 11 games, even if you count the slow start to the season. Like
Yeah, but
I'm just
I'm
gonna
I'm
use an
not.
example. Harry Kane has like 13 goals in 11 games this year for Bayern. And
I don't give a fuck about Harry Kane.
I'm not trying to compare leagues. I'm just saying Harry Kane also had a long run in international competition. Harry Kane also did not have a preseason to think of. Yet here he is, and he's a reliable goal scorer. And that's just not what Lautaro is right now. He is a fringe contributor who, like, frankly, if we did not have Thuram this season, we'd be 10th in the Serie A table because Thuram has been the most critical piece of the attack. And I'm just saying, when you're paying Lautaro as much money as we are, when we put as much stock in who he is as a player, and we call him world class and all this, like, this has not been an acceptable start to the season.
It's also the inability to rely on him on the big moments. You know what I mean? The big games he's been absent as well, which is kind of like a ongoing concern. Like last season, he kind of got away with not performing as well as he should have in the Champions League. That critical two-header against Atletico comes to mind, and not just because he missed the penalty, but he missed numerous one-on-one chances throughout the 180-minute tie. And this season, again, I think he scored 1 goal against Red Star, maybe 2 goals against Red Star. I can't remember, but we can make all the legitimate excuses for him in the world, but it all boils down to we just need more from him, and it's about time that he delivers that. Considering, again, we are already heading into December. It's really going to hit crunch time soon. You spoke about this a little bit the other week, where our record in the 6 pointers this season has not been good. 2 points combined out of 3 home games against Napoli, Juventus, and Milan. And these fixtures are only going to get harder in the reverse end of the season when we have to travel away to Naples. We have to travel away to Juventus. Our budget of draws and acceptable dropping off points is being used up by shitty draws against like the likes of Monza and Genoa and stuff that we started the season with. So there's less and less room for error, more and more big games coming, crunch time coming, assuming that we're obviously going to make it out of the Champions League and go into the knockout stage. The need for him is growing and growing and growing.
Yeah, I agree that he needs to improve, but I'm not too worried about him in a sense that
There's a shocker.
he was contributing yesterday. He could have get the assist for Dumfries if Dumfries was able to score the goal, and he was spreading the ball well. But the same thing kind of applies to Lautaro in some of these games, that he isn't getting the chances. He was like battling yesterday, but couldn't get to those shooting chances or in the box for fighting there. So yeah, I see the criticism, but I'm not too high on that yet. But I wanna quickly comment on Taremi and also Arnautovic that what might be one issue with them is that they are like clearly just a bench players and they don't play much, and maybe the issue with them is that they are used to play much more, and when they don't play, they don't get to the rhythm. They don't have the same kind of that you can't get the maximum out of yourself if you are not playing like most of the time or like they've used to. Taremi was the starting striker for Porto, I believe, for many years, and and well, Arnautovic, I don't remember where he was before Bologna, but at Bologna he was scoring goals as the first striker there.
You don't remember because he was in China.
Yeah, but before that he was, I believe, in England at some point. But
Yeah.
anyway, the
Yeah,
point is
playing for
that
Stoke City. Like this, or despite having down seasons prior to joining us, we still signed these over 30-year-old guys for decent amount of wages, and in Anatovic's case, a hefty price tag as well, transfer fee. And you're right, every player does benefit from obviously having regular football and stuff, but that's on two parties here. One, it's on the management to kind of identify, is this guy a suitable backup or is this guy a suitable reserve? And it's on the player themselves. Like, doesn't matter whether you're getting 90 minutes per game like Lautaro or Thuram, or whether you're getting the odd game here or there like Taremi is. Taremi's still getting starts, Anatovic is not getting starts, but he's still getting enough time to contribute more than he is. And the long and short of it is, aside from Thuram, none of our forwards are pulling their weight right now or playing as well as they could be. And
Minus
that's
Joaquin Correa.
that's a big problem.
Let's transition to talking about the huge matchup this weekend against Fiorentina, who have been red hot in Serie A this season. If you think back to our Serie A preview episode, this is a team Irfan and I identified as one we thought could be sneaky and challenge for a Champions League spot. And they're honestly exceeding even my expectations. They have the exact same record as Inter, same goal differential as Inter, and they've just been on a massive tear of form lately, looking great doing so. I did rewatch their match this last weekend against Como to prepare for what we were walking into with them. My few initial thoughts are, man, Gosens looks really, really good. He had a ton of great crosses. He's what the player I was expecting him to be when Inter signed him, and I'm happy for him because I've always liked him as a player. But he is dangerous, and him against Dumfries and/or Darmian is going to be a critical matchup for us against Fiorentina. The other player who I need to accept defeat on is apparently moisekean, who I hate this guy as a talent. I've never thought he's anything special. I thought he always receives the Balotelli treatment of being like this tortured genius of a player with 1/10 of the talent. But he's really found his form this year. And I was openly making fun of Fiorentina when they bought this guy from Juve for 15 million. But he just keeps scoring goals. He had a nice goal against Como this weekend, and he's an actual legitimate goal scoring threat up top, which I never thought I'd say. But as you go through this Fiorentina squad, there's a ton of good players. Palladino is the new manager of Fiorentina. Came over from Monza, and he brought Colpani, one of my favorite players in the league, with him. I remember a time last season where Jay was on this podcast telling us about this guy Adli on Milan, the converted center back to defensive midfielder who is now one of the best in the world. I don't really know what happened after that point, but he got loaned to Fiorentina and he scored a screamer against Como. So yeah, this is a really good team, and I'm expecting a tough match. Jay, I feel like when we talked about Monza last season, you were not a huge Palladino fan, or at least you weren't a fan of his tactics against Inter. So I don't know if you've caught much Fiorentina this year, but any thoughts on the team? And yeah, any thoughts on Palladino?
He's certainly exceeded my expectations of Fiorentina. Things are looking really rosy, like you said. You got players like moisekean kind of rediscovering themselves. Perhaps the best example of all is David De Gea, who's gone from a year of unemployment to being one of the most impressive keepers in the league. Highlight reels of his performances constantly floating around, and had that double penalty save, or two penalty saves against Milan, rather. Dodo as well, the right back. It's hard to say. I don't really have much tactical insights here. I just think they're just playing well. Everyone's gelling. The forwards are taking the chances. They're defending well as a team, and that's really kind of all the fundamentals you need to put together a good spell of results. They've conceded less goals than us. They've scored less, but defensively been a little bit more consistent. And for me, this is a much, much harder game than Leipzig, goes without saying. This will be a game where we need to kind of stamp our authority and just say, look, you guys are having a great season, but we need to kind of put them in their place. As let's not forget, we are the defending champions right now, are we not? We need to act like it and put the challengers, put the pretenders in their place. And something that's been obviously a point of much disappointment for me is the fact that we failed to do that in any of the 3 prior opportunities given to us against Milan, against Juventus, against Napoli. We have not shown our championship pedigree against these guys, and this is a game where we really need to kind of pull the finger out of our asses and get it done.
Yeah, looking historically, or maybe the near history, it's been well, we've been winning like past 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games or 6 if including Coppa Italia, but except Coppa Italia was maybe in Stadio Olimpico. Anyway, like we've won them like past 5 seasons or past 5 times in past seasons, but the thing is, it's always felt really hard match. I'm always saying the same thing, like against Verona, and then we beat them 5-0. But these results have been really hard to get from Fiorentina, and now they are actually looking really good on the league. So yeah, that this is gonna be a tough one, and Gudmundsson, he's been injured lately and hasn't been playing, but I just read that he might be coming back for this match, which obviously isn't good for us. He's a sneaky guy, and I don't know will he play already in the Conference League tomorrow, but yeah, let's see. That's a small advantage for us that they are playing tomorrow, so they have like 2 days less.
Yeah, but there's no way they
for.
play anyone who matters against this random team from Cyprus in the Conference League, you'd think.
Yeah, I don't know. Is it how's the format in the Conference League? Because they lost to this same opponent, so maybe it's like a group stage there. They lost to them last round, so now they're playing them again. I guess they wanna win it. They have 2 wins and 1 loss. I don't know. Let's see. But yeah, the match is on Sunday, so they don't have too much time to prepare for the match. But I was thinking how Inzaghi is gonna field the team, since DiMarco played 90 minutes, right? Yes, he played. Barella played 90 minutes. Dumfries played 90 minutes. So I would guess Darmian is starting. Who else? Will Augusto start in place of DiMarco? Maybe. How's the forward will be? Do you have any strong opinions on the?
You've got
What's he going to do?
Mark.
Start Arnautovic? Like, give Correa another chance?
Maybe Correa.
You know what? Look, I'm going to put my money where my fucking mouth is, and given how poor Lautaro has been, I say just fucking go for it. Play Correa, play Thuram. Who gives a shit?
I would not play Augusto. You need to play DiMarco. He's one of your best players, and this is a much larger match than most in the Serie A table. You need to start DiMarco on this one, and you can use Augusto off the bench if DiMarco only has 60 minutes in him after playing the full match yesterday.
Yeah, maybe that's smarter way.
It's gonna be a little gauntlet of tough games. We've got Fiorentina followed by Parma, who are 12th or so. But more so, I'm still concerned about like the leftover ghost of Gervinho. You know what I mean? Destroying us routinely. And Parma's always been a bit of a bogey side for us. So we've got the game against Parma. Then we've got the game against Leverkusen, if I'm not mistaken, followed by a trip away to Lazio. So you've got 4 tricky games in a row in the next 3.5 weeks, 4 weeks. You've got to rotate carefully, but you can't rotate too much either. Like I keep saying, Inzaghi needs to just trust his players a bit more, squeeze out a bit more where there is to be. I mean, I got to take my hat off to the fact that his rotation has largely paid off really successfully for him this season, in the fact that, you know, we started some B tier squad out and still beat Arsenal, rotated heavily away to Man City, still came away with a respectable draw, all that kind of stuff. But I don't think that's like a sustainable thing all season. You can't, you know, play your full team strength and then like a 50% strength team the next game and just keep rotating like that. you'd probably still consider Mkhitaryan a starting player ahead of Zielinski. I personally want to look at this a bit more. What's the word I'm looking for here? From a long-term perspective, and view Zielinski as the starter. So to that end, we played our best lineup, in my opinion, minus fucking Taremi yesterday. And so the pattern here is that Inzaghi would rotate against Fiorentina, but I think he needs to just retain like 8, if not more, of the same 11 that started yesterday this morning against Leipzig, and just push it through until Parma, and then Parma at home. Again, tricky opponent, bogey opponent historically, but that's where we can rotate a bit more. If the guys have to suck it up like Barella and DiMarco and play another 90 against Fiorentina, so be it. We can't take the risk right now. And again, as you mentioned, we get a day extra rest as well. So take advantage of that and just...
Actually 2 days rest, because Fiorentina plays tomorrow.
Well, that's even better. So
yeah, and one important, or I feel it's important, is that the Parma game is on Friday, so there's not like a midweek game next week. So it's Fiorentina Sunday and Parma Friday. So there's
exactly. There's more time to rest after the Fiorentina game. So let's go all out, play the full strength team against Fiorentina, and then let the guys rest and then rotate if needed against Parma.
Yeah, because then we have the Leverkusen on the Tuesday. So I feel that it will be quite strong lineup against Fiorentina, and I feel like Inzaghi has been doing that. He's been rotating in the Champions League much more, the players and Inzaghi talks how the squad is like 23 players, and they are like equal quality and interchangeable, but of course that's not the case. You have the starting guys or somewhat starting guys in some positions, and then you have the bench guys, and I feel that in this game he should be going like mostly the starters, and yeah, I agree actually with you, Andrew, that someone like DiMarco should definitely start and not Augusto, and only after DiMarco is a toast, then he can come off. It's usually Bastoni or DiMarco. You need to like take either one out, because they are done at like 60 or 70 minutes. And
De Vrij might have to play like a solid run of games, but I think that'll be good for him, you know.
Yeah, it might be beneficial for Inter actually, since he gets the rhythm and plays constantly.
Yeah, and he's very much a confidence player, so let him get a solid run of games under his belt, and hopefully we won't miss Acerbi too much.
Yeah, no, completely agree. The Basec's going to have to be the starter here on out, because we just don't have, unless you introduce someone else into the squad as a right wing back to allow Darmian to play right center back. Like, Basec's our starter going forward, and he's going to have to be smart. He's not going to have to pick up dumb bookings, and he's going to have to go 90 minutes most games. So
we just introduced that guy last week, Buchanan. he's our a new right wing back.
I'm just so accustomed to him being in his preferred left wing back spot that I'm not willing to buy in. Jay, you made the point about De Gea kind of having a bounce back redemption season, and I will say, like, excellent shot stopper as always, but there are opportunities that he's going to give you over the course of a match because he just cannot play the ball with his feet. Watching the Como match, there were several chances for Como where De Gea gave away sloppy corners. He gave away the ball to Como in the attacking half of the pitch because he's just not good with his feet. So if you come out and you press, I think you'll be able to create some chances that way, and it might be your best path towards breaking this thing open.
Agreed.
All right, let's do some predictions. Mikko, what do you got?
What do I got? I'm gonna stay optimistic, so let's go with 1-0 Inter win, and Lautaro will get his goal. Off to some great pressing against De Gea.
There we go. Jay?
Like I said, we are the defending champions here, and this feels like I'm constantly using like fighting kind of analogies, but this feels like a kind of title challenge. You know what I mean? Our recent record of title defenses, quote unquote, has not been good. We only won the game against Atalanta, and other than that, as mentioned, lost against Milan, dropped points against Juventus, dropped points against Napoli. And while Fiorentina are not traditionally in that contention, they are right now deservingly fourth place on equal points with us. I still think we're finding our feet. So I think this is going to be a game where we kind of cancel each other out, but I still think it's going to be a pretty wild game. So I'm going for a 2-2 draw.
With goals from
Yassine Adli and Moisekean for Fiorentina. And for us, I'll give it to Barella, and I'll give one to Dumfries.
I'm also going to predict a draw in this one. We just haven't played well enough against the big sides for me to have confidence about this fixture, especially away.
Especially in the league.
Yes, in league play, specifically against Juve, against Milan, against Napoli, we just have not been good enough for me to believe that we're going to get a win here. And those matches were all at home. Now we're going away against a team that's white hot, playing great football. I just haven't seen enough to predict a win. So I will go for a 1-1 draw. Give me a goal from Thuram because no one else scores for this team. And I guess I'm going to have to eat crow and give moisekean a goal because apparently he's better than Lautaro these days. So I would not be shocked if we won this game. I feel decent about our chances, but we've just been missing that little bit of extra, that little bit of clinicalness this year against the big clubs, and hopefully we can right the ship this weekend. So Jay's hot betting tips, you were pretty close to spot on in your last one where you had Man City dropping points to Feyenoord. Feyenoord did not win the match. They ended up drawing, but still a thrilling comeback to salvage the point, and I'll give you credit for it. So what do you got for us this week?
So did you know, hilariously, Juventus have 6 wins and 7 draws this season? I'm going to pick the Juventus game against Lecce, away to Lecce. I'm going to say it's a 0-0 draw, and Juventus keep piling them Ds up. They love taking them Ds.
That's the one thing Irfan and Juventus have in common.
That's right.
Speaking of things people have in common, Mikko, do you know what I have in common with Mkhitaryan and Acerbi?
Tell me.
My age now starts with the number 3.
Happy birthday.
Congratulations, I guess.
Mikko starts with a 4, doesn't he?
Yeah, Mikko starts with 4. It's the end of an era. It's the dawn of a new reality. I'm expecting the gray hairs to pile up any day now before they disappear quickly like the rest of them.
Yeah, before they disappear entirely.
All right. Well, we'll be back on the weekend following the Fiorentina match. We'll talk about it. We'll preview the Parma game as well. We'll catch you all then. Nico, you know what to do.
See you. Forza Inter.